Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Action Comics issue 1016. I like the art in this issue. Simone Kurdransky's art was actually pretty good. Obviously it's written by Brian Bendis. Brad Anderson does the colors. This is it's a very pleasing comic book. It's the art artistically it's really well done. Now in terms of story, things are starting to pick up a little bit here. This is actually better than in past issues of Bendis. I was actually surprised. It's still extremely slow going, but at the end of this issue, we're finally getting a war. We're actually finally getting some action. The Invisible Mafia is going to war, and the Invisible Mafia will be invisible no more. So it's going to be, I guess, forever and a day. Invisible Mafia will always be an ironic name because the Invisible Mafia will never, in fact, be invisible. Now, Miss Leon, who is, of course, the head of the Invisible Mafia, she becomes aware that the Red Cloud has been basically powered up by Lex Luthor and is going a little bit crazy and attacking Superman. Now, the issue itself, Bendis has this narrative habit. He's always trying to get the street-level view of Superman. And so what he does is that he chops up the action sequences by giving you the perspective of what's going on in terms of action from people on the street. And so rather than just letting the readers enjoy a good Superman fight between Red Cloud and Superman, we get narration. We get a bunch of talking heads of Metropolis citizens talking about what they think they saw, what they've experienced, and how they've experienced Superman and what they're seeing. It is what it is. Now, if that might work for some people, I don't really care what the view on the street is. I'm reading Action Comics. I want to read about Superman. I don't care what the person on the street thinks of Superman. I only care what I think of Superman. Why would I care about what a Metropolis citizen thinks of Superman when you can just have the artist draw me the Superman action fight and I can judge for myself what the action's like? To me, it's another prime example of what you don't do in comics. You show, you don't tell. So what Bendis is now doing is that he's now having talking heads, Metropolis citizens, telling us what in fact is going on. And it really detracts, I think, from effective storytelling. It just doesn't work as well as it would if you just did the standard, just let the artist draw an action scene, Bendis. What's your problem? I don't, what you're doing isn't working. Again, now I say that it's okay, it's an okay issue, but bear in mind there's been garbage up to this point, so that's not saying much, right? It's an improvement, but it's still mediocrity at its finest, if you know what I mean, all right? Now, basically, essentially this issue is, again, it continues the long, pointless conversation between Naomi, Superman, and Batman at the Hall of Justice. And Superman flies off, confronts the Red Cloud, and while Naomi is talking with Batman, she sees on the Hall of Justice view screen that Superman is being beat up quite badly by Red Cloud, and so she's going to go help Superman. Batman tells her not to. She defies Batman, and Batman smiles and smirks because that's Bendis' way of saying Batman is really impressed with this powered-up alpha powered female, because she's apparently he's impressed with her. We don't know why. There's no reason to be impressed with Naomi other than the fact that she just talks really fast and generally interrupts people when they're trying to talk, and of course she talks in the Bendis speak. So that makes it even more difficult to understand. But in any event, Batman is really impressed with Naomi, which is astonishing. Another example of Bendis not really knowing Batman very well. Okay? Batman doesn't become impressed with someone just meeting them, especially when they're an Omega level threat like Naomi, some young girl who really has no idea how to use her powers, knows very little about her origins, knows very little about what her powers actually do, knows very little about herself, period, but he just doesn't seem to have any problem. Batman is more upset. Batman is still more of a jerk to Damian Wayne and his own family than he is to Naomi in this issue. This is very much a forced characterization of Batman in order to get people to accept Naomi, because look how good Naomi is. She's accepted by Batman already, and he just met her, right? But hey, you know what? Whatever. Most people who pick up a comic book, if they're new readers, they're not going to know that Batman doesn't warm himself to people very, very quickly. But he warms himself up to Naomi very quickly. There's an interesting scene here. Batman and Superman fly to Oregon after Naomi helps defeat Red Cloud, helps Superman defeat Red Cloud in a manner in which we don't know how. Naomi just attacks Red Cloud with some energy bursts. We don't know why it has an effect on the Red Cloud. We don't know what happens to the Red Cloud. Again, it's another example of what Bendis has done up to this point from the beginning. He doesn't finish his battle sequences. He doesn't explain what's happening. He doesn't explain why did the battle suddenly end? Why did Red Cloud leave? Was the Red Cloud even injured? We don't even know. It was a completely pointless battle. So there was dialogue between Superman and Red Cloud as they were fighting, but again, to no end, to no purpose. And all it served was to show that the Red Cloud, who's powered up by Lex Luthor, apparently is really freaking out now and is going crazy and attacking Superman outside the parameters of what her orders are from Miss Leon, who is the leader of the Invisible Mafia. And now apparently the Miss Leon decides that because the Red Cloud has revealed herself, somehow people think that there's an invisible mafia. I don't know why. And then this was a deficiency in one of the earlier issues where, out of the blue, Red Cloud talks about an invisible mafia, and then suddenly people think there is an invisible mafia. Think of how stupid that is, narratively speaking. This is why this story doesn't work, is that there has been no indication that an invisible mafia has existed in Metropolis other than a ranting and raving Thorn who claims that there is. So a ranting and raving schizophrenic claim told Lois Lane, or one of the other reporters, Trish, that there's an invisible mafia. And now Trish, the gossip columnist, who apparently now is no longer a gossip columnist, or maybe she's more than that. This involves her now. She's stepping up to the plate as a reporter. Now all of a sudden, all of Metropolis thinks there is an invisible mafia because a ranting and raving lunatic called Thorn, who suddenly is immortal and is now in the 31st century, claims that there was, or imagines that there is. And so really, Miss Leon now stepping up to the plate and deciding to declare war and to confirm the existence of the invisible mafia just goes to show how stupid she is. This is not Bendis at his finest at all, believe me. This story doesn't make, the characters, what they're doing, don't make a lot of sense. The Invisible Mafia is still largely unknown to Metropolis. They could have ridden this out for a while. Superman is still largely at their mercy. He still doesn't know much about him at all. Why would they declare war? This seems awfully stupid, especially in the midst of what's happening with the non-event of Leviathan, which is really going nowhere. I mean, really, Miss Leon is far more interesting a character when she was, frankly, running an invisible empire than she is now declaring war. But having said that, at least something's happening now at the end of this issue. But again, if this is the type of storytelling that we're going to be getting from issue to issue, where everything is talked about, I mean, where all the action is going to be Trish, the gossip columnist, talking to citizens of Metropolis, asking what they saw, and we get their perspective. Why the hell do I want the perspectives of the citizens of Metropolis? Is there something wrong, Bendis, with simply having the artists draw the fight scene so we can see what Superman is doing? Why can't we be privy to the conversation between Red Cloud and Superman? Why can't we get that? Do we really need, why would I care what a construction worker thinks or a nun thinks in Metropolis? Good grief. Why would I care? This is supposed to be Action Comics, right? Action Comics. If you want to write this like Daredevil, well then do it in a separate series or a separate universe and get out of the DC universe or do an Elseworlds tale, okay? Don't do it in the pages of Action Comics. Key on the action here. The action here, it's not there to the extent that it needs to be. But overall, I mean, look, I don't even know where this is headed. We already know that the Rogolzar storyline went nowhere. Now the Invisible Mafia, there's gonna be a war with the Invisible Mafia. Who cares? Leading into it now, I don't even know why the Invisible Mafia is a big deal. You know, it teases that it's going to be a big deal. We're going to find out. I'm not looking forward to it. Bendis has yet to provide any excitement at all on any of his stories. There's been nothing exciting about this at all. And knowing that we're going to be leading into the whopping revelation that Superman nonsensically is going to reveal his secret identity, when we've already done that in the New 52, and that's tried and true, and now we're going to get that. This is boring. The only thing more boring than this was actually Frank Miller's Superman Year One series, which was really, really boring. But Bendis is giving him a run for his money. But it's still more exciting than Superman Year One. It's not quite as bad as the Miller Year One. But in any event, guys, I really don't have a lot to say about this, other than to say that. Just one little nonsensical thing, which I think is really stupid. Batman decides to send Naomi to Star Labs, and a Dr. Glory is looking after Naomi. Now, why would they do that? I mean, Star Labs was the one that accidentally got the entire Earth transported to the Phantom Zone. Remember, that wasn't explained. That was another thing not explained by Bendis, how the entire Earth, the entire planet was transported into the Phantom Zone. We thought maybe Rogol had something to do with it. Had nothing to do with that. It was Star Labs. It was a bad experiment at Star Labs that got the entire Earth transported to the Phantom Zone. But apparently Superman and Batman trust them enough after that fiasco to send them Naomi, who's got a power set that they're not even unclear what kind of energy power set she has. They trust Star Labs after what they did to the Earth. Nonsense. But it is what it is. But again, there's never any connection. It's like Bendis forgets the craziness that came from in his early run when he moves this forward. Naomi's mom meets Batman, and we get some, cute little dialogue here and there. Not a lot of action. This is not this isn't the wrong title. In any event, underwhelming, but a slight improvement from previous issues. Guys, tell me what you think of Action Comics 1016. A continuous slow burn for DC as they continue down on their creative decline continues at DC Comics with the latest issue of Action Comics. It's really sad to see. It is what it is. Comic Boom out.